All right, so let's dive right in. Today we are exploring the world of scientific laboratory technicians.
Okay.
You've given us some really great source material here,
Yeah.
career guides and interview prep materials,
Mhm.
and our mission is to break it all down, really get to the heart of what this career is all about.
Exactly. We're going to kind of pull out those golden nuggets of knowledge,
Yeah.
those key takeaways.
Okay.
That'll really help you, whether you're just curious or actually thinking about this as a career path.
Love it. So, first things first,
Right?
let's paint a picture for everyone.
Yeah.
What exactly does a scientific laboratory technician do all day?
Well, the guides all kind of emphasize that they are really the unsung heroes of scientific research.
Okay.
Yeah, they are the backbone of the whole operation.
Right.
They are the ones working behind the scenes, supporting all of those big name scientists that we always hear about.
Okay, so imagine yourself in a bustling lab surrounded by all this high-tech equipment. You're running experiments, analyzing samples, maybe even uncovering breakthroughs in fields like biotech.
Or even forensics.
Oh, wow.
The guide actually mentions that as a possible area you could work in.
Really?
Yeah, it's really hands-on, detail-oriented work,
hmm
and it's absolutely crucial to moving science forward.
Speaking of hands-on, let's talk about that work environment. I mean, it's not all test tubes and microscopes, right?
Right. We want to be realistic here.
Yeah.
The source material does talk about some potential hazards, like chemicals and radiation,
Oh, right.
and that's where those safety protocols become so important.
I see.
Think about it in a biotech lab, for example.
hmm
You could be dealing with genetically modified organisms or really potent cell cultures.
Wow.
One wrong move could have a ripple effect impacting not just your own safety, but the integrity of the research as well.
It's really serious business.
Yeah.
So how do the guides weigh the good and the bad?
Yeah.
What are some of the pros and cons of being a scientific laboratory technician?
Well, it's really nice to see that the career guide really addressed both sides,
Yeah.
rather than just sugarcoating things.
Okay.
On the plus side, you get to be hands-on with science.
Mm-hmm.
You could potentially be part of groundbreaking discoveries
Yeah.
and work with cutting-edge technology.
But there are downsides too, right?
Right. The guide mentions things like having to do a lot of repetitive tasks,
Sure, okay.
the potential for exposure to those hazardous materials we talked about,
Yeah.
and sometimes long or irregular hours.
Right.
It's not always
Yeah.
glamorous,
Yeah.
and it can definitely be demanding.
So it's about finding that balance, right?
Right.
Weighing those pros and cons against what's truly important to you in a career.
Exactly.
And speaking of long-term goals,
Okay.
the source material actually outlines a typical career path for a scientific laboratory technician,
Yes.
starting with entry-level positions
Uh-huh.
and going all the way up to a principal scientific laboratory technician role.
Yeah, each stage has its own set of responsibilities, and the work gets progressively more complex as you gain experience.
I love that the guide gives us examples of what a real person in each of those roles might look like.
Yeah.
Their background, their skills, their goals. It
Yeah.
really helps to envision how your own career might progress.
It makes it so much more tangible, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Instead of just seeing principal scientific laboratory technician
Mhm.
on a page, you get a sense of what that actually means
Right.
in terms of day-to-day work and responsibilities.
Yeah.
It's like getting a sneak peek behind the curtain.
I like that. Okay, so let's say you are sold on this career path.
Okay.
What are employers looking for when they're interviewing potential scientific laboratory technicians?
Mm-hmm.
The interview prep materials give us some good intel here.
Yeah, of course they want to see that you have lab experience,
Right.
but they're also looking for problem-solving skills,
Okay.
that attention to detail,
Uh.
and commitment to accuracy.
Right. And since science is always evolving, they want to know how you stay up to date on the latest technologies and techniques.
Yes, and that's where the interview prep material really shines.
Okay.
It provides some sample answers to some common interview questions.
It's like having a cheat sheet.
Right.
Okay, let's role play a tough interview question.
Right.
Imagine they ask you about a time you failed in the lab.
Oh, good one.
How would you answer that?
Well, the guide suggests using the STAR method to structure your answer.
Okay.
So I'll be the interviewer,
Okay.
and you walk me through a real-life example using that technique.
Sounds good.
Ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so let's pick up where we left off.
Okay.
Remember that interview question about failing in the lab?
hmm
I think it really highlights this crucial aspect of this career.
Yeah.
Accuracy and attention to detail.
Yeah, it's not just about having the technical skills, right?
Right.
There's like a whole other layer of responsibility when you're working in a scientific lab.
Exactly. The source material really stresses the importance of precision integrity
Mm.
and following those strict safety protocols we talked about earlier.
Right.
It's not just about protecting yourself. It's about ensuring the reliability and validity of the research.
You're handling sensitive data, conducting experiments, maybe even working with human or animal subjects.
Right.
I mean, there's huge ethical responsibility to make sure your work is done right,
Yeah.
that it meets the highest scientific standards.
The guide even touches on data privacy,
Oh, really?
especially if you're dealing with patient information or other confidential materials.
I see.
It's a reminder that ethics extend beyond the lab bench and into the digital world as well.
Okay, so speaking of the digital world,
Yeah.
the source material mentions some really cool tech that's changing the game for scientific laboratory technicians.
Oh, yeah. Things like automation and advanced software
Uh-huh.
are really transforming the way labs operate.
Okay.
Imagine machines that can take over those repetitive tasks,
Right.
freeing up technicians to focus on more complex and engaging work.
That sounds amazing, but doesn't that also mean that technicians need to be more tech savvy these days?
Absolutely. Those technical skills become even more crucial
Okay.
as automation plays a bigger role.
Right.
You need to be comfortable working with sophisticated software, troubleshooting equipment,
Yeah.
adapting to new technologies as they emerge.
So it's like a constant learning curve.
Exactly.
You got to stay ahead of those advancements to stay competitive.
Right. And it's not just about knowing how to use the technology.
Okay.
It's about understanding its limitations,
Right.
its potential pitfalls,
Mm-hmm.
being able to think critically and solve problems when things inevitably go wrong.
All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room, salary.
Okay.
We know it's not the only factor, but it definitely matters.
Yeah.
What do the guides say about compensation trends for scientific laboratory technicians?
Well, like most fields, experience plays a big role.
Makes sense.
The more experience you have, the more valuable your skills become.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, the higher your earning potential.
Okay.
But it's not just about time on the job.
Right. The guide also mentions that location can impact salary.
Oh, for sure.
Certain cities or regions offering higher pay for scientific roles.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Supply and demand, right?
Exactly. If you're in an area with a high concentration of research labs and biotech companies,
Uh-huh.
competition for talent drives up salaries.
Okay.
But here's a key takeaway from the guide.
All right.
It's not just about waiting for that automatic raise or promotion.
You have to advocate for yourself.
Right. Knowing your worth and being able to negotiate is crucial,
Mm-hmm.
especially as you move up that career ladder.
Okay, now we talked about that typical career path,
Yeah.
starting from entry level and progressing to principal scientific laboratory technician.
Right.
But what if you want to explore other options?
Well, that's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The guide actually talks about some alternative career paths
Oh, wow.
that branch out from that traditional trajectory.
So you're telling me there's life beyond the lab bench?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For instance, some scientific laboratory technicians leverage their experience to move into related fields like quality control or regulatory affairs.
I can see that they've already developed such a sharp eye for detail and a deep understanding of scientific processes.
Right.
Those skills would be valuable in so many roles.
Exactly.
But what exactly is regulatory affairs?
It basically involves making sure that companies are complying with all of the rules and regulations
Okay.
related to their products or research.
I see.
So if you're someone who thrives on precision accuracy and following strict protocols,
Yeah.
that could be a great fit.
So many options, but the guide also mentions research-related roles, right?
Right. If you're passionate about research,
Uh-huh.
but maybe don't want to be at the bench forever,
Okay.
you could transition into a research coordinator
Okay.
or data analyst position.
Oh, I see.
These roles often require a deep understanding of scientific principles and the ability to manage complex data sets.
So it's not just a straight line. It's more like a choose-your-own-adventure
Yeah.
with all these different pathways.
And here's the key. The guide emphasizes that networking
Uh-huh.
and professional development
Right.
are really essential for unlocking these alternative career paths.
Okay.
Attending conferences, joining professional organizations,
Yeah.
connecting with mentors.
Right.
These are all ways to open doors
I see.
and discover new opportunities.
So it's about being proactive,
Mm-hmm.
strategic,
Yes.
not just waiting for things to happen.
Exactly.
And speaking of being proactive, let's talk about those personal qualities
Okay.
that might make someone a good fit for this role.
Yeah.
It's not just about being good at science, right?
Right. The guide hints at a certain mindset
Mm-hmm.
that really thrives in this environment.
Okay.
Words like curiosity,
Okay.
problem solving,
Mm-hmm.
attention to detail
Yeah.
come up a lot.
It's about having like a natural inquisitiveness, the desire to figure out how things work.
Exactly. And then there's problem solving.
Okay.
You're constantly encountering challenges in the lab,
Yeah.
and you need to be able to think critically and find solutions.
Right.
You can't just throw your hands up and say, I don't know.
And then there's attention to detail.
Mhm.
Huge in a lab setting.
Absolutely. You're handling precise measurements,
Right.
analyzing data,
Yeah.
making sure everything is documented accurately. There's really no room for sloppiness.
And it seems like patience would be a virtue in this line of work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, experiments don't always go as planned.
Right.
And sometimes you have to repeat things over and over again.
You're spot on.
Right.
The guide doesn't explicitly mention patience,
Okay.
but it's implied in the descriptions of the work.
I see.
And it also highlights the importance of being able to work both independently
Okay.
and collaborative.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Why is that balance so crucial?
Well, think about it as a scientific laboratory technician. You might have tasks that require you to really focus and work independently.
Okay.
Maybe analyzing data or running a specific part of an experiment. But at the same time,
Yeah.
you're part of a larger team
Right.
working towards a common goal.
I see.
Being able to communicate effectively, share ideas,
Yeah.
collaborate on problem solving.
Right.
Those are essential skills for success in this role.
Makes sense. You need to be able to switch gears between those solo missions and team efforts.
Right.
And we keep hearing about the importance of staying up to date
Yes.
with the latest scientific developments.
Well, science is constantly evolving.
Right.
New discoveries are being made all the time. New technologies are emerging.
Yeah.
And the field is always pushing forward. To stay relevant, you need to be a lifelong learner.
Okay.
Actively seek out new knowledge.
Right.
Develop new skills. Embrace new ways of doing things.
It's not just about getting that initial degree or certification.
Right.
It's about that ongoing commitment to professional development, conferences, workshops, online courses, staying on top of the latest research. It's all part of the game.
Precisely. And let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's not just about staying competitive.
Right.
It's about being part of something exciting.
Okay.
Imagine being at the forefront of scientific discovery,
Yeah.
contributing to breakthroughs that could change the world.
That's got to be incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
And it brings us back to that idea of playing a crucial role
Yes.
in advancing scientific research.
It's easy to think of technicians
Right.
as being behind the scenes,
Right.
but they're really essential players in the scientific process.
They're the ones collecting and analyzing the data, running the experiments, ensuring the accuracy and integrity of the research.
Right.
Without them, the whole scientific enterprise would grind to a halt.
Exactly. So if you're someone who loves science, who thrives in a detail-oriented environment, who is excited about being part of a team that's pushing the boundaries of knowledge,
Yeah.
this could be a career path worth exploring.
And remember, it's not just about the science itself.
Right.
It's about those critical thinking skills,
Yeah.
that problem-solving mindset, that ability to adapt and learn in a constantly evolving field.
And don't underestimate the importance of those soft skills.
Right.
Communication, collaboration, active listening.
Right.
Those can really make you stand out and thrive in this role.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
We've explored the skills, the responsibilities, the different career paths. But now let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about how to actually land a job
Right.
as a scientific laboratory technician.
Okay.
Because it's one thing to have the skills and the knowledge,
Yeah.
but how do you actually get your foot in the door?
Right.
That's what we'll delve into next. All right, so we're back.
Okay.
Ready to tackle this next phase of our deep dive. We've talked about what it takes to be a scientific laboratory technician,
Right.
but now let's get down to like brass tacks.
Okay.
How do you actually land one of these jobs?
Right. Because it's one thing to have the skills and the knowledge, but navigating that job market can be a whole other challenge.
Yeah.
Luckily, the source material gives us some really solid advice on how to stand out from the crowd.
Okay, so first things first, the guides really emphasize tailoring your resume and cover letter to each specific job.
Yes.
It's not just a generic list of your skills.
Right.
It's about highlighting the experiences, qualifications that directly relate to what the employer is looking for.
It's all about showing them why you're the perfect fit for that particular role,
Okay.
for their team.
Right.
Take the time to really understand the job description, what they're emphasizing, And then make sure your application materials speak directly to those needs.
And the guide has this great tip.
Oh, yeah.
Actually use keywords from the job description in your resume and cover letter.
It's almost like you're speaking their language.
Right.
Making it clear that you've done your homework and you are serious about this position.
It's a subtle thing, but it can make a big difference in getting your application noticed.
Right.
Remember, hiring managers are often sifting through tons of resumes.
Oh, yeah.
You want yours to jump out and grab their attention.
Beyond the resume and cover letter, the guide also talks about the power of networking.
Yes.
Attending industry events, joining professional organizations, reaching out to people who are already working in the field.
Right.
It's all about building those relationships.
Yeah.
Making those connections that can open doors.
It's not just about what you know.
Right.
It's also about who you know. And those connections can give you some really invaluable insights into the industry, company cultures, and even potential job openings.
Wow.
That might not be widely advertised.
So it's like the hidden job market.
Exactly.
Don't forget about online networking.
Yeah. Platforms like LinkedIn
Right.
can be incredible tools for connecting with people in your field, showcasing your expertise, learning about new opportunities.
Exactly. Building a strong online presence and engaging with that scientific community can really pay off in the long run.
Okay, so let's say you've aced the application process.
Okay.
And you've landed an interview.
Right.
Now what?
Well, the interview prep materials come in handy again.
Okay.
They actually suggest practicing your answers to common interview questions. It might feel a little awkward at first.
Right.
But trust me, it can really boost your confidence when the pressure is on.
So it's not about memorizing responses word for word.
Right.
It's about getting comfortable talking about your experiences, your skills.
Yeah.
And goals in a way that showcases your value.
Exactly.
To the employer.
The guide also emphasizes the importance of asking thoughtful questions.
Okay.
During the interview.
Okay.
It shows that you're engaged, you're curious,
right,
and that you've taken the time to really think about the role in the company.
It's also a chance for you to learn more.
Exactly.
About the position.
Yeah.
The company culture, and whether it's a good fit for you.
Remember, it's a two-way street.
Right.
You're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you.
And one final piece of advice from the guide.
Okay.
Send a thank you note after the interview.
Yes.
It's a small gesture.
It is.
But it can leave a lasting impression.
It reinforces that professionalism and attention to detail that we've been talking about.
Right.
It shows that you're genuinely interested and appreciative of the opportunity.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of scientific laboratory technicians, what are like the key takeaways?
Okay.
What do you want our listener to walk away with?
Well, first and foremost, I think it's clear that this is a career with incredible potential.
Right.
It's challenging, it's constantly evolving, and it's absolutely vital to scientific progress. If you're passionate about science, you love that meticulous, detail-oriented work.
Right.
You're excited about being part of a team that's pushing the boundaries of knowledge.
Yeah.
Then this might be the perfect path for you.
And remember, it's not just about the science itself.
Right.
It's about those critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
That problem-solving mindset. That ability to adapt and learn in a constantly evolving field.
And don't underestimate the importance of those soft skills.
Right.
Communication, collaboration, active listening.
Right.
Those can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And finally, remember, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
The world of science is vast and full of possibilities.
It is.
Never stop learning. Never stop exploring. And never underestimate the power of a curious mind.
That's a great note to end on.
Well, hey, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of scientific laboratory technicians.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We hope you've learned something new today and maybe even discovered a new passion.